The Haelor Empire's first encounter with humanity came not with the thunder of warfare, but with the quiet curiosity of exploration. The UE's Pathfinder, a seemingly modest research vessel, drifted through the outer reaches of what the Haelor considered their domain. Captain Maya Rodriguez stood at her command station, dark eyes studying the swirling nebula patterns that mark the border between known space and the vast territory claimed by an empire humanity had yet to meet. "Gravitational anomalies detected, Captain," announced Dr. James Chen from his science station, his fingers dancing across holographic displays. "The readings suggest artificial manipulation of space-time fabric. Whatever's out there, it's beyond anything we've encountered." Rodriguez nodded, maintaining her calm demeanor despite the gravity of the situation. The Pathfinder might have appeared to be a simple research vessel, but like most human ships, it harbored secrets. 20 years of isolated development after the AI wars had taught humanity to hide its true capabilities. The void before them shimmered, and reality seemed to fold in on itself as three vessels emerged. They were beautiful in their alienness, massive crystalline structures that appeared to be grown rather than built, each easily dwarfing the Pathfinder by several orders of magnitude. Their surfaces rippled with colors that shouldn't exist in normal space, marking them as products of a civilization that had mastered physics humanity was only beginning to understand. "They're scanning us," Chen reported, his voice tight. "Their energy signatures are incredible. Each ship is putting out enough power to run Earth's entire grid for a year." Before Rodriguez could respond, the ship's AI interface, HFY, manifested as a subtle blue glow across the bridge. "Captain, they're attempting to access our systems through unknown protocols. Their approach suggests they view our technology as primitive. They're not even attempting to bypass our security measures." Rodriguez allowed herself a small smile. The Haelor were about to make their first mistake, assuming that apparent technological simplicity meant actual inferiority. It was an error humanity had learned to exploit. The alien transmission came as a flood of data that ARIA quickly translated. "Attention, unregistered vessel. You have entered space claimed by the eternal Haelor Empire. Your primitive construct offends the natural order. Prepare for analysis and potential dissolution." "Open a channel," Rodriguez ordered, straightening her uniform. "This is Captain Maya Rodriguez of the United Earth ship Pathfinder. We are a peaceful research vessel operating under international law. We acknowledge your territorial claim and are prepared to withdraw." The response was immediate and dripped with contempt. "Your understanding is irrelevant. The Haelor Empire has observed your kind from afar. You are chaos given form, a species that refuses the perfect order of the universe. Your existence cannot be permitted to continue." Rodriguez exchanged glances with her crew. They'd all been briefed on the possibility of this scenario. An advanced civilization that couldn't tolerate humanity's unique approach to existence. The Haelor ships began to move with impossible precision, their formations creating geometric patterns that seemed to bend the fabric of space itself. "They're powering up weapons," Chen reported calmly. "Energy readings are off the charts. This isn't going to be a warning shot." Rodriguez activated her command protocols, and the bridge transformed. Hidden systems came online, and the seemingly simple research vessel began to reveal its true nature. "Aria, initiate Prometheus protocol. Send the burst transmission to Earth Command." The Haelor attack came as a cascade of energy that should have atomized the Pathfinder instantly. Instead, the human vessel seemed to flicker, the space around it becoming uncertain as advanced quantum fields absorbed and redirected the massive energy discharge. "Impossible," came the Haelor transmission. "Your technology cannot." "You know," Rodriguez interrupted, "for an advanced civilization, you make some very basic mistakes. First rule of warfare, never assume your opponent is showing you everything they can do." The Pathfinder's outer hull began to shift, metamorphic nanomaterials revealing weapon systems that had been microscopically hidden. "Second rule," she continued as her ship's true capabilities emerge, "never start a fight without understanding who you're fighting. Humanity didn't survive its own wars, the AI uprising, and the void itself by being predictable. The Haelor ships began to adjust their formation, but they moved with a rigidity that revealed their weakness, an inability to adapt quickly to unexpected situations. Their perfect order had become a perfect liability. And the third rule. Rodriguez smiled as the Pathfinder systems came fully online, quantum processors calculating firing solutions that existed in multiple probability states simultaneously. Never let your pride blind you to the fact that sometimes the simplest-looking solution is hiding the most complex truth. As the Haelor ships prepared for another attack, they failed to notice the quantum wake signatures indicating that the Pathfinder's distress call had already been answered. Humanity had long prepared for this moment, and the Haelor Empire was about to learn why underestimating humans was the last mistake many had made. Fleet Admiral Sarah Chen stood in Earth's primary defense command center, her weathered face illuminated by the massive holographic display showing the Pathfinder's last transmission. Around her, the combined military leadership of humanity watched in silence as Captain Rodriguez's encounter with the Haelor Empire played out. The alien ship's attack, the Pathfinder's surprising defense, and the quantum wake signatures of humanity's rapid response fleet were all captured in perfect detail. The Pathfinder performed exactly as designed. General Marcus Webb commented, his artificial eyes scanning tactical data streams. The Haelor took the bait completely. They never suspected they were attacking one of our most advanced vessels disguised as a research ship. Chen nodded, her expression grim. And now we know exactly what we're dealing with. Lieutenant Harris, show me the analysis of their weapon systems. The holographic display shifted, revealing detailed scans of the Haelor vessels. Their technology is based on what they call perfect symmetry, Harris explained, highlighting various sections of the alien ships. Every system, every response, every tactical decision follows mathematical patterns so precise they border on the religious. They don't just use technology. They worship the idea of technological perfection. And that's their weakness, Chen stated, turning to address the assembled leaders. They expect the universe to follow their rules, their patterns. They've forgotten that evolution thrives on imperfection, on adaptation, on chaos. The room's atmosphere shifted as Chen activated her neural interface, bringing up classified files that had been waiting for this moment. Operation Asymmetric is now in effect. For the past 15 years, we've been preparing for an encounter with a technologically superior species that might view us as a threat. The Haelor Empire has just volunteered to be our test case. A holographic display transformed, showing hundreds of ships hidden throughout human space. Unlike traditional military vessels, these ships were unique, each one different from the others in subtle but crucial ways. The Shadow Fleet, Chen announced. Ships designed not to match the enemy's strength, but to exploit their assumptions about how warfare should be conducted. Admiral Yuki Tanaka, commander of the Asian Alliance forces, leaned forward. The Haelor will be expecting a traditional military response, a fleet of identical ships moving in formation, following standard tactical doctrine. How many ships do we have ready? 307, Chen replied, each one incorporating different combinations of our technology. Some focus on quantum field manipulation, others on temporal distortion, still others on gravity wave generation. No two ships will respond to their attacks in exactly the same way. They'll hate that. Webb smiled grimly. From what we've seen, the Haelor mind can't handle unpredictability. They'll try to find patterns where none exist, waste resources trying to develop countermeasures that work against one ship only to find they're useless against another. Chen's neural interface pulsed as real-time updates flowed in. The Pathfinder's quantum wake signature has been detected by our forward bases. The Haelor are following, just as predicted. They're sending a fleet, larger than what we estimated. At least 30 capital ships. They're angry, Harris observed. The Pathfinder didn't just survive their attack. It challenged their entire worldview. They'll want to prove their superiority, to restore their perception of perfect order. "Then let's give them chaos," Chen declared, initiating command protocols across the Shadow Fleet. "All ships, execute random jump protocols. I want us appearing in their sensor range from multiple vectors. No discernible pattern to our movements. Execute contingency Eden 7. Across human space, ships began to move. But unlike traditional military operations, there was no formation, no obvious strategy. Some ships jumped directly into the path of the Haelor fleet, while others took positions that seemed tactically unsound. Several appeared to be malfunctioning, leaking radiation and displaying vulnerable profiles. "They're responding exactly as anticipated," Wed reported, watching the Haelor fleet's movements. "Their ships are dividing into perfect geometric formations, trying to create a comprehensive containment pattern. They still think they can impose order on this situation." Chen allowed herself a small smile. "Humanity's greatest strength has always been our ability to embrace chaos, to find opportunity in disorder. The Haelor Empire is about to learn that sometimes the most powerful weapon isn't superior technology. It's the willingness to break every rule your enemy thinks you should follow." As the Shadow Fleet engaged, each ship began implementing its unique battle strategy. Some vessels phased in and out of normal space, making targeting impossible. Others absorbed enemy fire and redirected it through quantum fields, turning the Haelor's own weapons against them. A few ships appeared to sacrifice themselves, only to split into smaller, equally deadly vessels. "Send the message," Chen ordered. "In all frequencies, all languages we've decoded from their transmissions." The message was simple, designed to exploit what they'd learned about Haelor psychology. "You assumed order was strength. We are here to teach you otherwise. Welcome to human space." The battle was about to begin, and the Haelor Empire would learn that their fatal mistake wasn't just attacking humanity. It was believing that their definition of perfection was the only one that mattered. The battle that would later be known as the Symphony of Chaos began in the outer reaches of the Arcturus sector. Captain Zura Hassan of the Shadow Fleet vessel Trickster watched as her tactical display filled with the geometric patterns of the approaching Haelor fleet. Their ships moved with mathematical precision, each vessel maintaining perfect spacing and formations that resembled crystalline lattices. "They're transmitting again," Lieutenant Cole reported from his communication station. "Same message as before. Submit to the perfect order or face extinction." Hassan smiled, her dark eyes reflecting the holographic battle display. "Send them our response, just like we planned." Across the battlefield, human ships began broadcasting on all frequencies, but not military communications or tactical data. Instead, they transmitted music. Earth's greatest symphonies mixed with tribal drums, jazz improvisation blended with electronic chaos. The effect on the Haelor fleet was immediate and dramatic. "Their formations are wavering," Tactical Officer Liu announced. "The random patterns in our transmissions are disrupting their quantum-linked command structure. They literally can't process randomness at this scale." The Trickster's AI, nicknamed Murphy, materialized as a shifting pattern of light. "Captain, I'm detecting attempts by Haelor systems to impose mathematical order on our transmissions. They're trying to find patterns that don't exist. Estimated 47% of their computational capacity is being diverted to this task." Hassan nodded, activating her neural link to the rest of the Shadow Fleet. "All ships, execute Operation Butterfly Effect. Let's show them what real chaos looks like." The human fleet exploded into action, but not in any way the Haelor could have predicted. Ships that appeared damaged suddenly revealed themselves to be perfectly functional. Vessels that seemed to be retreating transformed into aggressive attack platforms. The Trickster itself split into 3 identical copies, each operating independently yet somehow coordinated. "Haelor fleet is responding," Liu reported. "They're attempting to adjust their formations to counter our movements, but their response time is degrading. Their need for perfect coordination is becoming a liability." Hassan watched as the battle unfolded according to humanity's impossible plans. The Shadow Fleet didn't just fight with advanced technology. They fought with controlled randomness. Each ship's quantum processors generated truly random tactical decisions, creating a battle pattern that couldn't be predicted because it didn't actually exist until the moment it happened. "They're launching their primary weapon systems," Cole announced. "Energy signatures are off the charts." The Haelor attack came as a massive wave of coordinated energy beams, each capable of vaporizing a small moon. But the human ships didn't attempt to dodge or defend in any traditional way. Instead, they embraced probability itself as a shield. "Quantum uncertainty fields at maximum," Murphy reported. "Probability drives engaging." The space around the human ships began to blur as quantum fields manipulated the very fabric of reality. Some of the Haelor energy beams passed through human ships as if they weren't there, while others were absorbed and redirected in impossible ways. A few beams seemed to hit their targets, only for the damaged ships to phase back into existence elsewhere, completely unharmed. How? The Haelor transmission carried genuine confusion now. "Your technology cannot achieve this. There is no logical pattern to your defense. That's humanity's secret," Hassan responded, broadcasting on all frequencies. "We learned long ago that the universe doesn't care about logic or patterns. Evolution favors those who can adapt, who can embrace uncertainty. Perfect order is stagnation. Chaos is growth." The battle continued to escalate, but with each passing moment, the Haelor fleet's responses became more erratic. Their perfect formations began to show signs of strain as individual ships struggled to maintain synchronization in the face of completely unpredictable human tactics. "Their quantum link is failing," Murphy announced. "Ship-to-ship coordination is breaking down. They're being forced to operate as individuals, something their entire military doctrine never prepared them for." Hassan allowed herself a moment of satisfaction. "Send the final message to their command ship. Tell them, this is what evolution looks like. This is why humanity survived when more advanced species failed. We don't seek perfection. We seek adaptation." The Haelor fleet's response was unprecedented. For the first time in their recorded history, their ships began to act independently, each commander forced to make decisions without the perfect coordination they relied upon. Some vessels retreated, others pressed their attacks with increasing desperation, while a few simply stopped, their crews seemingly paralyzed by the breakdown of their fundamental military doctrine. "They're experiencing cultural shock on a massive scale," Cole observed. "Their entire society is built around the idea of perfect order, and we just proved that chaos is more effective." "Not chaos," Hassan corrected. "Adaptation. Evolution. The ability to embrace uncertainty and turn it into strength. Ready the final phase of Operation Butterfly Effect. Let's show them what happens when humanity really decides to get creative." Deep within Haelor space, the crystalline spires of their capital world Symmetra reached toward the stars in perfect geometric patterns. But today, those patterns were disturbed by an unprecedented sight: the contrails of emergency shuttles evacuating high-ranking officials. Supreme Commander Vaxel stood in the central harmony chamber, his crystalline form pulsing with distress as reports flooded in from across their territory. "Impossible," he whispered, watching as another perfectly ordered defense grid went dark. "They're not following any known strategic protocols. How are they penetrating our defenses?" The answer came in the form of a small human vessel appearing directly inside their innermost security perimeter. The UES Ghost Dancer, barely larger than a scout ship, seemed to flicker in and out of reality as it maneuvered between Haelor's most advanced defensive platforms. Commander Alexandra Winters sat in her command chair, a satisfied smile playing across her features as her ship's quantum drives rewrote probability around them. "Status report," she ordered. "Their defense grid is still trying to target us based on mathematical predictions," her AI partner Echo reported, its voice carrying a note of amusement. "They haven't figured out that we're using their own precision against them. Every time they calculate where we should be, we simply ensure we're somewhere else." The Ghost Dancer was one of humanity's new probability ships, vessels designed to exist in multiple quantum states simultaneously. They didn't so much evade enemy fire as simply choose to be in universes where the attacks missed. Launch the next phase, Winters commanded. Across Haelor space, hundreds of similar ships appeared, each one operating independently yet part of a larger strategy. They weren't there to destroy. They were there to teach. In the Haelor's primary military academy, students watched in horror as their training simulations collapsed. Human ships appeared inside their most secure facilities, uploaded new data directly into their educational networks, and vanished before anyone could respond. The data contained Earth's history, every war, every conflict, every time humanity had faced extinction and survived by adapting. They need to understand, Winters transmitted to her fleet. This isn't about defeating them. It's about showing them why their pursuit of perfection is a dead end. The Haelor response was exactly what humanity had predicted. Their military commanders attempted to impose order on chaos, to find patterns where none existed. Each failure pushed their society closer to a fundamental crisis of faith. In orbit around one of their core worlds, a Haelor defense fleet maintained their perfect formation even as human ships danced between them, appearing and disappearing like quantum ghosts. Admiral Tekra watched his tactical display with growing despair. How do we fight an enemy that treats warfare like an art rather than a science? He demanded of his staff. They're not just violating our military doctrine, they're proving our entire understanding of reality is flawed. The answer came from an unexpected source. A junior tactician, barely out of the academy, spoke up. Sir, what if perfection isn't the answer? These humans, they succeed because they embrace imperfection, use it as a strength. The chamber fell silent. Such thoughts were heresy in Haelor society. But as they watched another perfect defense formation, shattered by seemingly random human attacks, the truth became impossible to ignore. On the Ghost Dancer, Winters received the transmissions of Haelor commanders beginning to question their fundamental beliefs. Phase 2 complete. She reported to Earth Command. Their military structure is adapting, just as predicted. The real question is whether their society can handle the change. The answer came sooner than expected. Across Haelor space, younger commanders began experimenting with randomized defense patterns, attempting to match humanity's unpredictability. Some were immediately stripped of command by their superiors, but others were quietly encouraged to continue by leaders who recognized the need for change. They're learning, Echo observed, analyzing the shifting patterns of Haelor ship movements. Their formations are becoming less rigid, more adaptive. Some of their younger commanders are even attempting to mimic our quantum probability tactics. Winters nodded, satisfaction evident in her expression. Good. Send the next message to their high command. Tell them, evolution isn't about reaching perfection. It's about never stopping to grow, to change, to adapt. Your empire can either evolve with us or be left behind by those who do. In the Central Harmony Chamber, Supreme Commander Vaxil received the message. For the first time in his long life, he allowed himself to consider a heretical thought. What if the pursuit of perfection had actually made them weaker? As he watched more reports of human ships dancing through their defenses, teaching rather than destroying, he realized that his civilization faced a choice that would reshape their entire society. Perhaps, he mused, his crystalline form shifting in ways that would have been considered disordered just days ago. It is time for the Haelor Empire to learn what these humans already know. That true strength lies not in achieving perfection, but in never ceasing to evolve. 1 year after the first encounter between humanity and the Haelor Empire, the grand meeting chamber of the Symmetra Central Spire hosted an unprecedented gathering. The crystalline walls, once rigidly geometric, now displayed subtle asymmetric patterns that would have been considered blasphemous mere months ago. Supreme Commander Vaxel stood before the assembled leaders of both civilizations, his form deliberately adopting an imperfect configuration. Fleet Admiral Sarah Chen represented Earth, accompanied by Captain Maya Rodriguez of the Pathfinder and Commander Alexandra Winters of the Ghost Dancer. They watched as Vaxil addressed his people, his words broadcast across the Empire. For 10,000 years, he began, we pursued perfection. We believed that the universe had an ideal form, and that our duty was to impose that perfection upon it. Today, we acknowledge that we were wrong. Not just about humanity, but about the fundamental nature of existence itself. The chamber's walls rippled with changing colors, reflecting the emotional resonance of his words. Among the assembled Haelor dignitaries, younger members nodded in agreement while older ones shifted uncomfortably. The humans did not defeat us through superior technology or overwhelming force. Vaxil continued. They defeated us by showing us our own stagnation. Their ships danced through our defenses not to destroy, but to teach. Each encounter was a lesson in the power of adaptation, in the strength found in embracing uncertainty. Admiral Chen stepped forward, her weathered face showing respect for the magnitude of change the Haelor were undertaking. We came to your space prepared for war, she acknowledged. But we found something far more valuable, the opportunity for both our species to evolve. The holographic displays activated, showing footage from the past year. Haelor ships learning to move with controlled randomness, their crews discovering the power of individual initiative. Scientific innovation sparked by abandoning the constraints of perfect symmetry. Young Haelor leaders implementing hybrid strategies that combine their traditional precision with human adaptability. The results speak for themselves. Vaxil gestured to the displays. In 1 year of embracing imperfection, we have made more technological and social progress than in the previous century of pursuing perfection. Our fleets are stronger, our science more innovative, our society more vibrant. Captain Rodriguez smiled, remembering that first encounter. Your empire's greatest strength turned out to be your ability to recognize and correct your misconceptions. Not every advanced civilization can do that. Commander Winters added, and your younger generation's eagerness to learn and adapt impressed even our most experienced tacticians. Some of their innovations in quantum probability manipulation have taught us new approaches we hadn't considered. The chamber erupted in discussion as Haelor scholars and human scientists shared discoveries, their earlier hostility replaced by mutual fascination. The rigid hierarchy that had defined Haelor society for millennia was transforming into something new, a dynamic balance between order and chaos. There will be resistance, Vaxil admitted privately to Chen. Many of our older citizens struggle with these changes. Some colonies have already declared their intention to maintain the old ways. Chen nodded understandingly. Change is never easy, especially change this fundamental. But look at your younger generation. They're already creating things your society would have considered impossible a year ago. She gestured to a group of young Haelor scientists, demonstrating a new form of quantum drive that combined their precision engineering with human probability mechanics. The device shouldn't have worked according to either civilization's traditional physics, but it did, a physical embodiment of the benefits of combining different approaches. We've established joint research stations in neutral space, Winters reported. Mixed crews, shared discoveries. Both sides are learning that our different perspectives make us stronger together than apart. As the gathering continued, news arrived from across Haelor space. Their first diplomatic vessels were returning from Earth, their crews forever changed by experiencing human culture firsthand. Trade routes were being established, cultural exchanges planned. The rigid empire was transforming into something new, not human, but no longer bound by the chains of enforced perfection. Perhaps, Vaxil mused, watching human and Haelor children playing in the capital's newly redesigned parks. This is what true perfection looks like. Not a final, unchanging state, but a continuous process of growth and adaptation. Admiral Chen smiled. That's what humanity learned from our own history. Every time we faced extinction, every challenge that should have destroyed us, taught us that survival depends on embracing change. Perfect systems are brittle systems. Life thrives in the spaces between order and chaos. As the sun set over Symmetra, its light caught the newly irregular crystals of the central spire, creating a dance of colors that would have been impossible in its previous perfect form. The Haelor Empire had survived its greatest challenge not by maintaining order, but by learning to dance with chaos. And in doing so, they had become something greater than either they or humanity had imagined possible. To the future, Vax'el proposed, using the human custom of a toast. To evolution, Chen responded, raising her glass. Around them, human and Haelor alike nodded in agreement, understanding that this was not an ending, but a beginning. The universe was vast, full of challenges neither civilization could predict. But together, combining Haelor precision with human adaptability, they were ready to face whatever came next. Perfection, they had learned, was not a destination but a journey, one best taken with those who could teach you to see the universe in new ways.